There comes a terrible moment when you realize that the relationship is over. By then, most abuse survivors have tried leaving several times. I tried twice. The first time I remember we were fighting over something stupid in the restaurant, and I leaned near his ear to be heard and said, "No one deserves to be this miserable, not you, and certainly not me." And then I stood up to walk out. That time, it didn't stick, but it was a good practice run. And the next time, he walked out and a few weeks later texted that we were over, but that time, I was ready. The best estimate is that it takes most abuse victims up to 7 tries before leaving sticks. And it makes sense because ending a marriage or a long-term partnership is never easy. Not only is there legal and financial issues, but it closes a door on something that was meant to last. Being a relationship is hardwired into our nature and is seen one of the most biggest achievements of adulthood. All relationship endings, even under normal circumstances, cause a whole slew of reactions. We end up wondering, are we built for partnerships? Are we made to be loved? And when you factor in the abuse, most victims leave confused and ashamed and likely blame themselves for what went wrong. Because not only do toxic people avoid taking responsibility for the destroyed relationship, they usually have also moved on and are already posting new images of their new relationship. So victims end up stuck trying to figure out what happened and how to reassemble a shattered life. When I left, one of my sons was battling life-threatening cancer. I had no home, no car, and only what I could carry in 2 suitcases. Thankfully, I wasn't destitute and had a career, but I was lucky because most victims find themselves with limited financial means, few career options, and facing a huge legal battle. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Kerry Kerr McAvoy, a licensed mental health clinician with over 20 years of counseling experience and a narcissistic abuse survivor, and this is the final video in the Toxic Love series where we've been looking at a pathological love relationship. I hope you'll go back to watch the rest, but I want to wrap up this topic today with a few pieces of advice about what to do when a narcissistic abusive relationship comes to an end. Number 1, treat yourself the same you would if you were recovering from a major medical condition. I want you to think of this period like you're healing from coronary bypass surgery. At first, you're going to need to be what I call in survival mode. Avoid making big decisions because you just went through something catastrophic. 90% of narcissistic abuse survivors leave that relationship traumatized, and 75% have significant PTSD. You're still feeling confused and befuddled, and your nervous system is in overdrive. So be extra gentle on yourself. Focus on getting rest, proper nutrition, and some exercise. This is not the time to start a crash diet or to go on an extreme fitness plan. You're like a World War II vet returning home after spending a lot of time on the front. You need time to readjust and just figure out the basics while you process what you just survived. Consider that your first priority. Number 2, set a firm boundary between you and your ex to the degree that you can. I know maybe going no contact's not possible because of the legal or custody battles, but keep your communications strictly practical. Use the method outlined in Bill Eddy's book called BIFF, B-I-F-F, which stands for brief, informative, friendly, meaning civil, and firm. I've put a link to Bill Eddy's book in the notes below. I know you want to talk things through, that's really normal, but please hear me on this. Toxic people always avoid accountability. They probably know you better than you know yourself, and they are aware of what your hot buttons are. Any offer they make to process what happened is a trap. They're just dangling that carrot in front of you in order to manipulate you. In fact, that's what happened to me. My ex said that he wanted to meet for closure, but really it was just another effort to get more out of the divorce settlement. In fact, during that conversation, he made no mention of the events leading up to the divorce, and he certainly didn't take any responsibility for our marriage's failure. So don't look for the answers from your partner. Don't go to them to pour out your rage and pain. Any disclosures or admissions you make only gives them the upper hand, and they want you to be doing worse than they are, so don't feed their ego this way. Number 3, allow yourself to feel feelings and to grieve, but do it in safe places with safe people. We have just come out of an intimate relationship where we've been pouring ourselves into it, and losing that is devastating. And at first you're going to feel confused, betrayed, grieved, and enraged. And these are not comfortable feelings and maybe even make you feel weak. But don't avoid them by throwing yourself into longer work hours or dating too fast or looking to your favorite addictions. Pushing down that pain or trying to go it alone only backfires because unprocessed feelings always bleed through when we least expect it or want it. Remember, 75% of narcissistic abuse victims have significant symptoms, so find safe places and safe people to work through your emotional reaction. And this may not be your immediate friends and family unless they're familiar with this kind of abuse. Be careful because too many of us end up further abused when we reach out for support. Unfortunately, most people don't understand what we've been through and can't offer helpful sympathy and advice. It's tough, if you think about it, to understand the manipulative tactics we've survived or the difficulty we're having breaking a trauma bond. Our culture tends to believe that nice people tend to be good people. So consider joining a survivors group like mine, Toxic Free Relationship Club, or getting counseling or coaching from a trauma-informed specialist. And finally, number 4, don't let shame isolate you. You've been duped. I've been duped. We both thought we met somebody wonderful, and it's hard not to feel responsible for letting this person into our lives. Yeah, hindsight is always 20/20, and I can go back and look at all the glaring warning signs that I missed. If you read my book, Love You More, you probably wanted to scream at me a few times, or maybe you threw the book because you saw me give him one more chance when I shouldn't have. But we are here now, and I want you to hear me on this. You did nothing wrong for taking a risk on love or trusting someone new. Those are beautiful qualities about you that help nurture a growing relationship. Yeah, I can look back and see where I struggled to give myself enough self-respect or where I sought too much of approval. But those things are easy to always see in the past. What we're doing now is what's most important. I want you to focus on today. Remember, Alexander Pope, an 18th century poet, wrote, "To err is human, to forgive divine." So please be careful with yourself. You survived something horrific and you've come out the other side. Your best revenge now is to take what happened to you and turn it into a blessing instead of a curse. That's what I'm doing here now with you. I'm taking my pain and turning it into something good for other people. Now it's your turn to do the same. I found looking at toxic love, pathological love relationships to be fascinating, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this toxic love series. I hope you'll go back and watch the rest if you haven't seen them. Maybe you're someone who's in a bad relationship right now and you wonder if your partner is a narcissist. Please check out my free survey called Am I the Narcissist? And answer the questions from your partner's perspective. Or maybe you know there's something wrong in that relationship and you wonder if you're in danger. Then check out the questionnaire, Is My Partner Toxic or Dangerous? I put the links to both of those surveys in the notes below. This may be the last in this series, but it's not the last of my longer content. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out my weekly lives as every Tuesday late afternoon. I announce a topic each Monday. And remember, I'm sending you all a big hug. Please stay strong and safe.